usual statements and we're recording the meeting, correct?
Right. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the August 16th, 2021 meeting, Board of Health. This meeting is being conducted as a remote participation meeting due to COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting is being recorded. And as is customary, we start out on the agenda with the first item, which is public comment. If anyone would like to come forward, has any comment they'd like to make, besides the people who are on the agenda tonight. Thank you. Just let me know if anyone's out there.
Erica says there's no one that wants to get in separately versus the people that will be speaking on the individual agenda items and abutters.
Okay. If it's at all possible, it'd be nice if the Board of Health members, I'm not sure, are they able, am I able to be able to switch in what order they're being shown on the screen? If I'm able to do that, just let me know. In other words, right now in front of me, I've got Pam, I've got Bruce, Carl, and myself. There we go. There's one board member. Hello, Eric. I can see you.
I think you can click and drag.
Yeah. Let me see what I can do then. Yeah, you guys are all in. Let's see if we can move Deborah along here.
Is anyone else having audio trouble?
Eric, this is Pam Winthrop. I think the reason you're having that feedback is there's two of you here. There's two,
Yes,
three, and so it's causing that feedback.
Right. Eric, we see one picture, but we see two Eric Weston texts with your name up there. So, Pam, you seem to know a little bit about this. How do I move Eric and Deborah to the left on my screen?
I just spend too much time on Zoom, unfortunately. I do believe that if you were to click on somebody, you can move them. Well, I had that luck a few minutes ago. Let me try. So if you were to hold down, for example, on Deborah, you can actually drag her box and you can arrange the boxes the way you wish. See if that works.
Deborah, this is not going to hurt. I'm trying to. Yeah, Deborah, you don't want to move to the left on the screen. How is everyone else? I mean, it's interesting because this is the first time it's happened. Usually the Board of Health people or everyone, I mean, I've been on Zoom here for 1.5 years with things. Yeah, it's never happened where
I've already moved all my boxes to where I want people.
Interesting. Well, now I can see you. That's good. Deborah, I got you over. Eric, I do want you. Do we still have Eric? A picture or not?
Looks like he dropped off. I bet he's going to rejoin.
Yeah, I can't find him visually anyway.
I think he dropped off.
That's not like him.
He'll come back.
Okay, here's Eric.
To our Zoom master, do we have everybody in that was in the waiting room that wants to be on the meeting? Yes, they are. So everybody that wanted to be on the meeting is on the board now, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay, anyway, not Deborah's moved, Eric's not. So Eric, I'm just having, it's difficult for me to see you right now. So just speak up if there's something, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Second item on the agenda, moving along here, is the hearing of a poultry permit modification. And looks like that is going to require a vote tonight. So anyone coming at the meeting who wanted to speak regards this?
I would say the neighbors could speak first, Mr. Chairman, if you want, then we can have the applicant make his presentation, respond to the neighbors, and then we can also have Carl Lawson, our health inspector that's been out there several times, be available.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone is there, obviously besides the house owner there, this would be your opportunity to make some comments, which obviously the owner can respond to. So this would be a good time to speak up. Any neighbors there or anyone
Yeah.
else in the community?
Yeah, Rich Gregorio, I'm trying to get on, but I can't see it. What happened? Hello?
Have you started your video, Richie?
I believe so.
We can hear you fine.
Yeah. You can't see me?
Cannot see you. That would
I'm
be
new with
something that
Zoom.
you would let yourself in.
Okay. I gotta let it in from where?
Should maybe down your bottom
Bottom left, you may see
left-hand corner should say start video.
there's a mute and a stop video. Why don't you take a look to see if there's a red line through your video, stop video or not?
I said stop video. No, there's no red line there. It says share comments. Press that.
Share comments.
Richie, are you on your
I'm
phone?
gonna hit that. No, I lost everybody.
Well, we can certainly
can hear you.
Oh, wow.
We can proceed with just,
Well, you could hear me, right? You don't-
yes, we can. So for the meeting, what we
Can you hear
need you
me?
to do is to introduce yourself, and that would be, so it's in the minutes, and
Okay,
then the table is yours.
okay. Okay, my name is Richard DiGregorio, and I've been living at 11 Alley Joe Drive for almost 21 years. They had a problem in September 6th. Ever has been changed. Nothing has changed. The same thing, pigeons on the roof, pigeon droppings, and it's been going on for 5 years. And I'm just tired of it, I mean, he knows all the, he shouldn't be adversely affecting the adjacent properties, I mean, if he wants to have 30 pigeons, go ahead, have 30 pigeons, as long as he flies them over his house and in his area. That's in one of the restrictions that he has. As far as 20 chickens, now is that considered a business and an R40 zone? He's gonna sell eggs or he's gonna sell chickens? Or what is he gonna do? We don't know. I mean, 20 chickens, he probably has 6 chickens already. So that's about 26 chickens, free reign. Okay, now another concern of mine is, I mean, you have 20 chickens, 27 pigeons. What about the rat population? Is the rat population gonna go away or is it gonna increase? It's definitely gonna increase because that's what happened 5 years ago. Now he says he wants a rooster, and it says the rooster, one or more noise. It says one or more abutters issue a complaint, no rooster. That's it. That's from the Board of Health. That's not from me. And it said, and each time I visited the health department, it led to retaliation. Retaliation, flying the birds, the pigeons more often, sitting on your roof. Then he goes and takes off, leaves them flying around. And by the time he comes back, guess where they are? They're on the roof, not his roof, the abutter's roof. It's the same old thing, over and over again. And there was another little thing that I had a concern about. He has a hard time with 4 pigeons flying. 4 pigeons. And you're gonna give him 10 pigeons to fly? And we're in some kind of it's really not a flight path, but sometimes the Piper Cubs come in and they come right over our houses. Now you got 20 pigeons where the planes come in. I've been here for 20 years and 11 of those years I've been retired. So I don't go anywhere. I'm right here. I stay right here. That's an important concern for the town of Yarmouth. He's irresponsible. He doesn't respect the rules. He flies, the pigeons, flying the pigeons, barking dogs, leash law. We went for the motorcycles running up and down the street, mopeds, cars, skateboards. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see a child get hit by a car coming around the corner of Alley Joe Drive. And the kids are out there. They should have all helmets on. I don't care. Skateboards, you should have helmets on. Because one of his children had a moped and his brother was running down the street with him. I went outside. I said, "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." Dangerous stuff. I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Sure, I just need to interrupt for 1 second. For tonight's meeting, this is really having to do with the issue of poultry.
I know that. I know what you're going to say. I know what you were going to say. You were going to say it was about poultry, and I try to keep it within the poultry thing. I try to keep it with the poultry scheme because we're working on the barking dogs because there's, other issues, speeding and stuff like that. There's other issues on the ground. But the flying birds, the 20 birds, very concerned. And you made up the law. I mean, the Board of Health made up the law that he could have 4 birds to fly. It's a hard time for him to fly 4 birds. If you can control 4 birds, you're going to give him 10? I don't think so. Well, he's got the coop already anyway, so. But, I mean, that's all I have to say. And you're just going to give him, more fuel for the fire. That's all. That's all it's going to be. More paperwork for the health department. Because he's not going to abide by any rules, any regulations or anything. Because that's the way he is. I have a picture of last week. I should have left it with you. There's a pigeon on my roof. What's he doing on my roof? It's been going on for too long. We're tired of it. Something has to be done. Thank you very much.
Okay, I appreciate your coming in. Anyone else from the community? Anyone? Any residents here make some comment? I see Pam, you have your hand up, so
Yes.
you're on.
Thank you. My name is Pam Winthrop. I am also a neighbor. I'm at 21 Alijo. I'm not there all the time. I'm an occasional resident, but we're actually moving there full-time next week from California. And I want to echo some of what Richie has said. And I will do also my best to keep it poultry focused, but I would say as an example, one of my latest concerns when I was last at the house was, I'm a huge dog fan, and our neighbor's dogs came flying through our yard, and they are big, and they, I think they're Dobermans. And that scared me. I wrote them a note and just put it on their door and asked them to please be careful about not letting them off the leash, because they could scare someone. They're just large. So the reason I bring that up, and they do bark incessantly, is that I'm concerned about my neighbor's ability to take care of the animals he has presently, which is a cause for concern if he's going to add additional animals. And like Richie, if I ever bring my dogs to the house, I'm concerned about them eating goose poop. I'm aware of the parasites that animals can ingest with goose poop and end up having diarrhea and other intestinal issues. So I am not in favor of the Board of Health allowing them to add more animals. I, like Richie, have seen the goose on the roof, the pigeons, pardon me. I don't know why I'm calling them goose, the pigeons on the roof. So it
Call
is.
them turkey.
Pam, Pam,
Yes, did I cut out?
for a second there.
Sorry. So I think I wrapped it up, but I am also concerned about the animals and hope that you don't decide to allow our neighbor to increase how many they have in the yard. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And we have someone else as well, I think.
Yep. Hi, I'm Patty Colville, and I am also a neighbor. I'm at 5 Bellagio Drive. I'm diagonally across the street from the person that is wanting these animals. And I did submit a letter to you with my concerns, and as well as Rich and Pam, I have the pigeons come in my yard all the time. I have to go out and I have to hose down my back patio every day because it's covered in pigeon poop, and my outside shower. And my concerns also with the fact of having a rooster, which their dogs bark incessantly right now as it is, and a rooster is only going to cause that to be even more of a problem. And there are just a lot of issues that have been happening here, and I know you want to keep this related just to this situation. And my concerns are that, you know, not only do I have to go and wash down my back patio, but I've also had to wash down the side of my house because the pigeons land on the top of the front side of my roof and then leave their droppings on the front of my house. So I have been out there washing that down. And it's, you know, it just doesn't seem fair to the rest of us that we are dealing with this kind of stuff for one person's benefit.
Okay. We all appreciate people coming in. Thank you. Anyone else in the public have any comments? Okay, so perhaps it's time then to have the owner of the property maybe can address the board and the community. So is the resident the owner, or who's proposing buying additional animals? Is that person here?
Yes. Hi, my name is Lucan Cahoon, and I live at 12 Allegia Drive. First of all, I must say I'm appalled at how grown people could tell so much lies. First of all, my birds haven't been flying. This year, I have not been flying birds. My birds are out once when my dad let them out for the whole year. So I do not understand how a neighbor been washing down bird poop every day, or have bird poop on their side of a roof every day. My bird's been out once when my dad went to feed them and they got out. So I do not understand that part of it. I am asking to fly 10 birds instead of 4 because 4 does not work. And the birds that I fly are roller pigeons. These birds does not go on roofs. They do not go on people's yard or anything. They fly in the air and they comes right back to their coop and goes in. The other day when my dad went in the coop and birds got out, those were homing pigeons. And there were pigeons that never been flown in the area before. There were young pigeons. As I said, I have not been flying birds all year. The birds were out flying around and my neighbor Rich start whistling for the birds to come over his roof. He's like, come over here, I got something for you. One bird went over there for a second and flew back off his roof. I saw it. I then reported to the town of Hell because I'm very proactive. I'm very compliant with the rules. Every time they check on me, I am perfectly in line with the rules. There's no rats in my yard, rats. None of that is in my yard. My stuff is stored properly in bins, metal bins. And I have a big yard, so I have enough space for 20 chickens. Now, I'm not looking to sell eggs or sell chickens. I'm from Jamaica originally, and I want to have 20 chickens because I'm going to be using some for meat and the rest for laying eggs. I heard they talking about roosters and noise. I don't care much about a rooster. I think the hens will just be happy with a rooster. So I really don't care about that. But I need my 20 chickens, and I need to fly more than 4 birds because no one who fly roller pigeons ever fly 4 birds. The town gave me that at the first meeting, and it never worked. The birds are in the sky looking around for predatory birds like hawk and trying to get away from hawks, or they're very timid and they're not performing as they should. So I do need 10 pigeons to fly so they can be more confident and perform instead of looking out for predatory birds. I know I'm keeping it poultry. I'm not adjusting anything about dogs because the animal people come here all the time and none of them find me in any issues with dogs barking all the time. We've been here, I'm outside, and no dogs have been barking the whole time we've been here. I don't have a dog that bark like something is wrong with it. The dogs will bark if you're playing with them or somebody new come to the house.
You're a liar.
Could someone mute his, because I did not speak one time when he was talking?
I didn't hear anyone else just now but yourself. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I didn't get that, I'm sorry.
I didn't understand what you just said. In other words, you're the only voice I'm hearing right now.
Someone shout and say, you are a liar. So I was asking if you could mute that person's microphone because I did not speak once when anyone else was speaking.
Okay. Now I understand what you're saying. I don't know if we have that ability technically. Does anyone know right now?
Yes, the house can do it. The host can do it.
I think we're able to do that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we discussed this before the meeting. If that's possible, yeah. I mean, someone is in front of the board, they should be the only person speaking. So you can mute other people. That's fine. And people, okay. So, sir, anything else you'd like to add to this?
Well, I think I've said enough. I mean, I'm not a bother to anybody. As I say, my yard is big enough. I don't see me having 20 chickens affecting anybody. I don't care for the rooster because it will make noise for, and there's more than one people saying no to it. So I'm okay with that. But my 20 chickens, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I got the resource to take care of them, and flying more than 4 birds. These birds don't go on people's roof. These are roller pigeons. I have 2 types of pigeons, homing and roller birds. The ones I fly do not go on roofs. They go back into their cage after performing. And the homing pigeon, they got to be trained to fly from other states or towns back to their coop. I've not trained them because I have not been flying them either. The only time a few birds got out and one went on his roof and he called the bird over there. And he came back to my yard. So This guy report every and anything. So if he talks about last week, if something had happened last week, he would have said it. He report things that not even happen. I rest my case. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, perhaps the next thing would be someone from the health department perhaps can bring us up to date in an objective point of view. This is certainly it's a difficult issue here. It's complicated. I feel like we're in court. And that's, I don't think, the way this was designed to be. So any additional input would be helpful. Bruce or Carl?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Myself and Health Inspector Carl Lawson was out there last week. Carl can give an update, but we did walk the property last week, met with the owner, Lucian, walked the property, and Carl will go into more detail, but we did not see any droppings on the applicant Lucian's house. There was no droppings on the pigeon coop. We didn't see any droppings on the driveway or the street. And from our street observation to the neighbor's house, we could not see any large droppings accumulation at all. There had been a question about a second coop being built on the property. And in fact, it was just a shed that did not have any animals in it at all. The yard was very clean. The dogs were in their particular cages. I know that the dog officer has been contacted, and that would be anything they were working on separately with Lucian on that, but we're not aware of any separate issues from the dog officer. So with that, I'll let Carl give a further, more detailed update on the visit that we had last week. Thank you.
Carl, I think you're on mute. Bottom left-hand corner. Can anyone else hear, or is it me? Can anyone hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me.
Carl looks like he's unmuted, but I hear no sound.
Yeah, I don't hear Carl. Do you, Deborah, or not?
No, but it looks like he's unmuted.
Bruce went to get him.
Yeah, I think so. So, Carl, if you can hear me, in the bottom left-hand corner is usually where the mute button is. At least it's been that way for me.
Mr. Chairman, he's coming. He's gonna do it from here.
Okay, great.
Hello, everyone. Can
Well,
everyone
yeah.
hear me okay at this point?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. I apologize. I was unmuted and I did toggle the switch on and off both ways. Didn't seem to help. What I can say, I am familiar with the property. I first went there in response to a complaint in July of 2017 and did an inspection. The only item that was not in compliance was he was not registered with the town. Didn't realize he had to be, so he became familiar with the regulation that day. He familiarized himself, I briefed him, and since then he maintains an annual poultry permit license. So beyond that, that's the registration part of it. There have been complaints. I've been there numerous times. So I'm very familiar with the property. And during all my visits, I have found him to be in compliance with the regulations as they're written. I've also found him to be in compliance with the conditions that was set at the last Board of Health meeting in October 2017 on this subject. He has been in compliance with the conditions. I have not found any rats or evidence of rats. He did have an escape of pigeons. I'm not sure of the number, but he reported that to me in July. He let me know that he was ill. His father had to feed the pigeons and accidentally let some out. I'm not sure how many, but he said, just so you know, it might be reported to the health department, and it was. So he was proactive. So that's been my findings. The other two items I'd like to touch on is back in 2017, with a few members of the Board of Health, I did witness the flying, and he released up to 4 pigeons. They did fly at quite a high altitude. I can't really estimate it well, but I'm thinking probably 100, 150 feet. They did fly throughout the general area, not beyond our site. And when they returned, they never landed on another property. They did return to his property, land, and then eventually within 5 or so minutes, make their way back into the coop. So I have witnessed that. I know there's been a concern recently about a new chicken coop built. And what I found out last week was that's actually a tool shed. It has windows in it for visibility of tools, but it's not something chickens can live in. Although he may expand the present coop. The present coop also does have the required setbacks, the required distances from the property line. So that's in compliance. But I have responded to complaints and found the property be in good order with respect to the conditions and the regulations. So those have been my findings.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize it was 4 years ago that we were there. We had spent considerable time there that day. And I have not gone this year. Board members, some comments, thoughts. What should we do here? We have a lot of opposing points of view here. Deborah.
So I had a question for Lucian. One of the things in his proposal was that he wanted more chickens, not just for the eggs, but also for the meat. And I was interested in how that works. Are you butchering them on the property?
Yes, I would butcher them on the property unless there's something wrong with that.
Bruce, can you make a comment on that?
The chickens for home use, people are allowed to have chickens. If they collect eggs on their properties, fine. If they wish to process them for their own meals, that's allowed.
Okay, thank you. Deborah, what else?
That's the only question I had.
They would not be for sale, they'd be for his own use only. And I
Right.
believe the chickens would only be on the property until the beginning of winter. And then they use them for food, and then they would start up again in the spring. Is that correct, Lucian?
Yes, that's how I've done it in the past. However, if I got 20 chickens, I would always keep 10 around and only use 10 for meat.
Okay.
Bruce, are there any health considerations the board needs to know just about butchering chicken on the site? Anything we need to know?
We have not got into that with our other several chicken owners. So we have not had any complaints or issues with others. So obviously it must be a process they can do reasonably.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, Eric?
Personally, me.
What's that? Charlie would say something, Mr. Chairman. He's right here.
Oh, great.
Personally, I don't see a problem with the chickens and I don't see a problem with the pigeons. I have been to the property and I don't think these pigeons are trained to fly out of the cage and go next door on somebody's roof. I think they're designed to go upstairs, fly around, then come back home. So I don't believe half of what I'm hearing in the beginning of this. I've been up there and seen it. It's one of the neatest places I've ever seen. So, and I have had animals most of my life. I'm a horse person. So I'm in favor of letting them do it. So.
Okay, thank you,
Charlie.
Eric.
questions. How would you, I guess that doesn't matter. How large is Mr. Lucian's property?
You know, how large the property is.
It's about a third of an
I believe it's a little over half an acre. It's just a little over half an acre.
Little over half an acre.
And have there been any other complaints besides the three abutters who are here this evening?
No, just these three people right here that have expressed their complaints.
Can I
Okay.
answer that also, please? There has only
Sure.
been one person reporting on me, and it's been Richard. Now he got other people to report or to be on his side too, because he told me the other day we were in a little argument after the birds got out. He said nobody likes me in the neighborhood, so he tried to get people to rally people on his side. I've never heard anybody else have any issues, but him.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I certainly don't want this just finger pointing. I mean, we really need to stay on track here a little bit. Eric, you said you had a few questions.
Yeah, I guess my only other question is, you know, if there are droppings on, if there's bird droppings on the other properties, I mean, how do you, just out of curiosity, how do you know where they're coming from? I mean, how do you know if you see a pigeon, how do you know it's your neighbor's pigeon and not just a pigeon that's flying in through the neighborhood? Just curious.
It's a good question. I hadn't thought
Valid question.
And I'll answer to that. I can't honestly say I know it's his birds that are doing it, but I am washing every morning before I go into work. I am washing my patio down. So this didn't happen until he started having pigeons. But I mean, I'm not there to watch to say that, oh, that's your pigeon doing that every day. So I can't answer to that, honestly.
Can I say something again? I just want to echo that I have not been flying birds all season. So it could not be my birds. My birds is in their aviary and their coop. I do not have enough roller pigeon right now either. From last year, the hawk got them.
And this
So
happened last year.
I have not been flying birds all year. So if you're washing down poops every day, it's not from my birds. My yard is clean.
okay. Yeah, we can't have this as just an open discussion. It just doesn't work very well, certainly on a remote meeting. You know, the board is in a tough situation here. We're getting very opposing points of view, and so board members, we need to make a decision what to do. And there are plenty of options. We need to vote on this, and it has to be some kind of plan or whatever. But I need the input. Someone, we need to move this along. And it's a difficult one. I don't think we've been in this situation before.
Can I make a motion?
Oh, absolutely. Any of us can. Sure.
Okay. I make a motion to allow them to have the birds and the chickens and without the rooster.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion, at least to get to some further discussion? Once again, I always say that doesn't mean which way you're going to vote. It's just, we have a second there. Thank you.
I have a question. Charlie, does that include having the additional 10 pigeons that can fly?
Correct.
So we're talking about 10 pigeons. This is discussion point, okay? So we're adding 10 pigeons. We're not adding a rooster. And the chickens, the number for that is 20. Do I have that correct?
Right, no, we're not adding 10 more pigeons. We're just saying the pigeons that he can fly 10 at a time instead of 4. He's not adding any more pigeons. That's capped at what number? 27. That's capped at 27.
Okay, so the cap is not changing.
Correct.
It's just a number of birds that can fly at one time.
Going from 4 to 10, correct.
Yes, fine, okay.
He has no chickens now on site, and he would like 20 chickens with Charlie's motion of no rooster.
Right. So some further discussion, so we can decide what to do here. I think we know Eric. What do you think, Deborah? I mean, obviously Charlie made the motion, so it's quite clear how he thinks about it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm not sure yet. I think that, you know, 3 neighbors with concerns, it'd be, you know, different to me if it was just one person. And that there's been complaints going back to 2017 concerns me. So, and I think that that'll have what, 47 something birds on the property. To me, that seems a little much.
I don't want to interpret what you're saying, or I'll think out loud. Are you thinking that a different number? I mean, I'm just in the sense of thinking about the motion that's on the table. It's a motion that can go away if we're not going to, you know, if no one's. No, we'd have to vote on it. So let's just consider this further discussion. So is that something you would consider of changing it or not changing the current situation there?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. What do you think?
You know, if he said he hasn't flown pigeons all year, it's August. So if there are pigeon other than the one, Lucian, when did the pigeons escape? When your father was feeding them?
It was sometime in July.
In July. Then they haven't been out since then.
Yeah, and they haven't been out since then.
So personally, I'm fine with him flying 10 pigeons. I was there when he flew them, when we went there, whatever it was, 4 years ago. Right. They went up into the sky. They flew around over what I saw was woods, and then pretty much came back with the exception of the one that got lost. So I don't have I don't have a concern with him flying more pigeons. I think my concern is really just with the amount of chickens he's looking for.
Well, sir,
drop back to 10 come fall, though.
Say that again, Charlie. I missed it.
I said that amount of chickens drops back to 10 in the fall.
Okay.
Because he uses 10 of them for
Right.
food.
Yeah.
I don't know how much chicken some people eat in the course of 6 months to a year, but I probably eat more than 10 chickens myself.
Right. Eric, anything else? Otherwise, we're going to go to a vote, and that may not be the end of it. We'll see whether someone ends up making another motion. But Eric, any other thoughts?
I mean, I'm certainly in favor of somebody's right to raise and process their own food. You know, I guess I would just ask Carl or Bruce if they had any concerns as related to public health. You know, I don't obviously I don't want to just have a situation be disruptive to the neighbors, but you know, I wash bird droppings off my deck all the time. I have no neighbors with birds, and I think it's difficult to be able to determine sometimes where that's coming from. So, you know, I would just ask Carl or Bruce if they have any, what they feel would be legitimate concerns as related to public health. Or birds.
We have not had any complaints from the neighbor that lives to the left, the abutter directly to the left. We've not had any complaints at all. And the abutter to the right is a bank-owned property with nobody living in it, but the bank keeps the property up. So they do send a maintenance person to the property.
Right.
We have not heard from the bank that they've had excessive droppings or anything on that property. So the two closest abutters on each side, we have not had any complaints. And we have not noticed any excessive droppings on either the driveway or the street. So without going out and seeing somebody's house, we'd have to verify that. But on the other side, if Lucian has not been flying pigeons all year and they're seeing all this droppings, obviously they're not coming from the pigeons.
Right. Does that answer your question, Eric?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any other discussions? If not, let's just go for a vote on this, okay? Everyone clear on the motion? Speak up if you don't. If not, all in favor of Charlie's motion, just raise your hand and
You
turn off.
need to do a roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Why is that? We did attendance earlier. What's different now? I'm not questioning what you're saying, but I'm not sure why. In other words,
If you can see, can you see everybody?
Charlie's on the screen right now. Well, it looks like that's his hat. Now I can. Yeah, that's why I'm asking people to raise their hand plus say aye or nay, depending upon which way they're going to vote. Right
Okay.
now, I can see everyone. Can everyone else see? Deborah, Eric, Charlie, everyone can see the other members?
Yep.
Yep.
I can. Deborah, you can see everyone? Great. Okay. So just all in favor of the motion that Charlie has made, just raise your hand if you're in favor and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All saying nay?
Nay.
Okay, so the motion passes. It's 3-1. I will just add that I would ask the board members to, when they're out in the cars, to make some trips over there to evaluate. I will do the same. As I said, I did not get over there this past year. And I would ask the health department to do the same thing, just to make spot checks. Doesn't mean you need to go on the property necessarily, but look around the area a little bit at least, okay? As for the backyard, then that should be the health department. If it's the Board of Health member who wants to go to the back, you certainly need to identify yourself. It gets complicated going into people's properties. I understand that. Any other comments about it? This is a tough issue here tonight. If not, we'll move along then. Okay, let's go on. Next item on the agenda is there's a hearing on Millway Marina, which is at 15 Enterprise Road. What's listed here on the agenda is a proposal letter from Millway Marina and an engineered site and boat wash plan for Down Cape Engineering. Bruce, is there anything that you want to start with? There's a lot of material on this in the packet, and I know there's a number of issues that have arisen rather recently.
Oh, yes. It was, just to give a little background, we're aware today there was some activity up on Enterprise Road of some tree clearing and boat storage on the adjacent property. So both myself and Carl went up to Millway today, this afternoon, at 15 Enterprise Road, which is the requested property for the increase in gallonages from 200 to 600 gallons on the property. What we observed today is the property to the right of them, the building, the auto body place, was purchased recently by Millway. And since then, they have cleared all the trees on the property. I'm not sure if a buffer needed to be left under zoning. And we have not heard anything from the building department or zoning of what the use would be expanded to. Our concern right now is seeing boats on the property which have not been permitted for outdoor or indoor storage at this time by the Board of Health. And we're not sure if that's even been approved at this time through the building inspector allowed under zoning. So it looks like the property is possibly being expanded by the purchase of the property. And we need to know what that use will be, because that could change the quantities of hazardous materials stored either for use or within the boats. As we know, there's other boat storage in that area, which has been a concern to the board. They were proposing a boat wash pad for their property at 15. But I think with this new events that have come to our attention today, I would think that the board would want to look at both the properties, how they're going to be developed and used together, and what approvals they will need either through the building inspector and zoning, which they still might need to go to the Board of Appeals. So at this time, I would recommend the meeting be continued until we get a full use of what's happening on the property, so that we can go forward instead of having the applicant go twice to the Board of Appeals in what would be allowed, and then try to work with them to see what we could do to have allowance for both properties to go forward.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I guess we don't have a full sense of what the business plan is over there. Right now, who owns the lot at number 3 there? In other words, when you come around from Summer Street and make the right onto Enterprise or Corporation, on the right, that first lot, who owns that?
That's the lot they just built, but that's the background. Do you want, go ahead, why don't you just tell us where you sit right now then? That's fine.
It's underwear and Realty Trust.
Yeah, we,
I just want to know who owns the property.
I, as a trustee of a company called Loran Trust, I own it, Jack Hill, George Hill, whatever.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
yes. So
Okay.
you own the property.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. It's confusing. I can just tell you in the sense of what's going on then. I was informed that there are boats there, which was a surprise to us. So it's hard to know exactly what's taking place, I must say.
We're fine with a continuance, and we can all sit down and discuss it. You know, we just weren't sure what bureau, what departments we had to go through. To do stuff. We have talked with Carl. I think he can tell you that, you know, we try to do everything right. We're cleaning up a big mess at the number 3 property, and trying to improve.
Right.
So we're happy to sit down with you, and so we can actually be face to face and discuss what we'd like to do.
Right. It's probably a good idea. Our responsibility, of course, is just protecting the health of the residents in town. That's
no. You know, and we want to be good neighbors.
yeah. So that's our responsibility as a board. That's all. And the clearer it is, the better for us to figure out what's best to do. So certainly, it sounds like there's some information you could probably put together, and in addition to material that was provided in our packet, that may be helpful and save a lot of time, including it for yourself.
Absolutely.
And to get a better sense of your business plan and so on. Just if there are boats there, I guess we didn't know about it. I don't know. That's all.
Well, yeah, no, okay. That's why we should sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, I think the first step will be to meet with the building inspector to go over your business plan with him of the lot clearing, the use of the property, whether boat storage inside or out, and what you need to do to go to, if you need to go to the Board of Appeals. And then we can work with you after you meet with the building inspector. He has a determination. Carl and myself can meet with you to get you back to the Board of Health.
Okay, great.
That sounds reasonable. Okay, so why don't we do that? It'll make better use of everyone's time a little bit. And everyone on the board, just keep your packet, all the materials, and hopefully we'll get some more information when when you're ready to come in front of the board. That's all.
Okay.
Carl's very good at this. I'm sure he can kind of guide you through where to go first.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well. Okay, so we'll call it on that for the hearing on number 3 here from Millway Marina, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a water quality testing update. And it's probably Bruce who's going to speak about that. Bruce?
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. We have Dawn on now. We thought she'd be on around 6:15 to 6:30.
Okay.
And Dawn was going to talk on that she's present on the International Overdose Awareness Day.
Oh,
And,
great, sure.
Maybe we could take her first right now.
Oh, by all means, let's skip down everyone to the 6th item on the agenda, which is updated International Overdose Awareness Day 2021. So thank you for coming in. Just introduce yourself for the record. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn Roche, and I'm a South Yarmouth resident.
Okay.
Do you just
What's
want
on your mind? What's on your mind?
Okay, so I'm a South Yarmouth resident. I've been a resident for 25 years. I lost my son to fentanyl 2018. Gonna cry. So ever since then, I've been taking on this project of having an overdose awareness event at the beach, Smugglers Beach. August 31st of every year, nationwide, is International Overdose Awareness Day. It's a day where people come together, remember their loved ones, honor them, and also pray for the ones that are still suffering. So I have an event every August 31st at Smugglers Beach where people come and gather, bring large photos of their loved ones. They can get up and speak if they want. Upon arrival, I do ask them to check in with their email address just so I can keep everybody updated throughout the year. We have a brief opening. We have a guest speaker this year, which is Christoph it's a hard last name. How do I pronounce it? Anyway, it's a very long name. He's a recovery coach here on the Cape. You all might know him. He's got 13 years in the addiction field. So he is an amazing guest speaker. We're also doing family tribute, so everybody can come up, introduce their loved one with their photo, say a little bit about them, say their name, remember them, so they're never forgotten. We follow it up with a candlelight prayer and at sunset. And that is August 31st at Smugglers Beach, 6 p.m.
Well, what can I say? I'm sorry, loss of a child. I can't imagine.
Thanks.
So
thank you.
I can
Yes.
commend you for your effort here.
Thank you. I took this lead. I actually now co-facilitate Learn to Cope, which is at the Yarmouth Police Station every Tuesday night. Sadly, it's via Zoom right now. And then
Right.
I help facilitate a parent supporting parents group in Mashpee on Monday evenings. So it's in my heart. It helps my heart feel better, sadly.
Now, you made reference to an email. Is that for people to check in?
So this is actually the flyer that's up on there. I do have a PDF file for it, and I have copies of it if anybody would like it. I know Bruce Murphy does have a copy of the PDF that he can also email out. And there's no registration needed, just come on down.
Okay.
My phone number is also on there if anybody has any questions.
So, Bruce, where can someone find this right now? The information about the event. Someone who's not watching right now.
So it is on Facebook. There is a Facebook event, and also the PDF file has been sent to every police station on Cape Cod, and also the 2 recovery fields. I am a member also of the Yarmouth Substance Awareness Committee, so they have that also. So it's been spread between fire departments and the Gosnold, Duffy Healthcare Center. A lot of the facilities do have it. It's also known, Steve Exaros, a couple of the state reps on the Cape have it also. So we're trying to just spread the word so people don't feel alone.
Right. I have passed it along to be placed in an upcoming selectman packet and asked the town to put it on their social media page. I'm not aware of that status right now, but we have passed that
Okay.
information along.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. That's
And
great.
I'll follow up on that also.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Are we able to get it on the health department on our landing page?
If you'd like it, yes, absolutely.
Yes, we can look at putting it there also.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
very
I
much.
would just like to thank Dawn for taking over what she's been doing the last several years. And this is on our agenda also to talk about this Wednesday at our YSAC, Yarmouth Substance Awareness Committee, of how we can get it out also. So the committee's very thanking Dawn for promoting this and now allowing the committee to participate. So the committee is looking forward to providing whatever assistance we can.
Great. I'm very thankful. The first 2 years that I did it, it was just a small group of parents gathering at the beach, but clearly it's going to get a little larger this year, which I'm sadly looking forward to. So.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Dawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, you guys.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, let's go back to number 4. That was the water quality testing.
Okay, yeah, let's just keep scrolling back, keep going. One more, yeah, right here, there you go. I don't know, this might be hard to see, it's within your packet, I don't know if we can blow it up to the whole full screen, but this just shows you the 35 public beaches that the health department oversees the testing of weekly. Starting in Memorial Day and going to Labor Day, the public beaches that the health department oversees in conjunction with the county health department collecting and taking the samples. Saltwater, there are 29 beaches that that are tested along Bass River, along South Shore Drive area, pretty much Parker's River beaches, Seagull Beach, South Middle Beach. Then we go down to Vernon Street, up to Wilbur Park, Windmill on Bass River. So we get a good sampling, and all those beaches have been good this summer. We did have 2 closures on Malfa Road and Bay Road 2 or 3 times this summer. Several of them times were after a heavy rain, was always a concern of water wash-in. And then Fallins Pond by the boat ramps, really not a big swimming area on the side of the boat ramp, but it gives us a test site at the upper end of Bass River to Fallins Pond. And that has a steep boat ramp. And after a couple rains, we did have high exceedance at that time. We also monitor 6 freshwater swimming areas, Dennis Pond, Flax Pond, Horse Pond, Little Sandy Pond, Long Pond at Indian Memorial, and Long Pond at Lyman Lane. They've all been tested each week, and they've all passed the water quality for bacteria for swimming. Private beaches that are tested themselves is Camp Greeno tests their own pond, and so does in Camp Wingate Kirkland, test Elijah's Pond, and Halcyon tests its Hoss Pond. So, and they've all been fine this year so far. So this is an update I usually give to the board and to the public each year about this time. So this year, as I go forward to our next, go ahead, Erica. Next thing is what we've seen in the paper August 1st, the cyanobacteria is being seen in numerous ponds across Cape Cod, heavily in some towns down Cape. Barnstable has a few ponds with the cyanobacteria also. what we did this year through the Department of Natural Resources is Carl Van Horn had Yarmouth included with the testing by Association Preservation of Cape Cod, who's doing all the testing across the Cape to include 10 Yarmouth ponds. And I'll go through that in a minute for their testing. So let's go to you can just scroll through this a little bit. This was a pretty good article in the Cape Cod Times, as I said, August 1st, just explaining cyanobacteria, where it came from, what the county might be able to do for additional testing, because testing can range in various towns from $3,000 to $20,000 for testing. So hopefully the county can work on and assist that testing. And I think that's what you saw as part of the article for Mark Forrest was doing that. The testing, they're doing approximately now 150 ponds on the Cape, which is quite an increase for that. The algae's there, you can continue to roll down. It's hard to do anything. And one of the reasons the algae is there is with the increase in phosphorus and nitrogen. And this article talked about the town of Mashpee, their Board of Selectmen, talking to property owners around the ponds to stop applying fertilizer, which is also one of the sources for the increase in the bacteria. So it seems to be more in the forefront now, this news article. So if we go down, continue scrolling, it's a lot of the ponds have a bluish or algae mat that's thick that you don't want people swimming in or dogs drinking. So that was a picture of one bloom down Cape earlier. Okay, you can scroll down. And then we kind of go into cyanobacteria, you know, the fact sheet that was in your packet. A bluish green algae blooms. And I'm not planning to read this whole thing to the board because I know it's in your packet, but I do want to educate the public that's listening in tonight so they get a better feel of what's happening or look for in the town of Yarmouth ponds. As I said, it's the blue. The bloom can look like bluish green and over an area of time. How do you protect yourself? They recommend right now there's no state standard. So there's only a warning issued when you get to a higher testing algae limit, which would limit children from swimming in the area and dogs and pets for not drinking and being in the water. Okay. Keep going. We come up to Department of Public Health guidelines that were developed in 2008. They really haven't been updated. The written part of it, however, they have decreased the down to 8 parts per billion is when a warning advisory should be placed. Okay. So the 10 ponds that were selected and worked with DNR that we should look at, as we mentioned right here, and this is the test date was in July when they first started including the Yarmouth ponds in their pond sampling across the Cape. And we can see that the ponds that passed right here, Big Sandy, Dennis Pond, Elijah's Pond, Flax Pond, where we have our camp and swimming program, Camp Greeno, Hoss Pond, Little Sandy Pond, and then we go down to Long Pond, which was high. And this location on Long Pond was the boat ramp on Davis Road, is where they selected that. The other 2 ponds are Tom Matthews Pond and Plash's Pond were the 10 sites. So what we did is knowing that that pond, the Davis was high as part of Long Pond, that we would post that area as a warning. And we do have a warning sign to post, and I think that's the next one down that you can scroll to. So that warning sign was posted at Davis boat ramp. From there, in my discussion with Department of Natural Resources and the Association of Preservation of Cape Cod, is I wanted to look at our swimming areas on both sides of the boat ramp, Lyman Lane, and then further down the other way towards the east to Indian Memorial. And the sampling last week there showed those both areas having elevated cyanobacteria also. So both those swimming areas, even though they passed the bacteria test, had cyanobacteria. You did not see a blue or greenish algae bloom. As a matter of fact, the water was very clear and you could easily see 20, 30 feet out the beach. However, the bacteria was in the water cells and it was present. So to be prudent and take the safest message, warning signs were posted by myself last Friday afternoon, and I explained all this to people on the beach or with their, one house had a couple dogs and some young kids that I talked to, both neighbors when I was doing some posting. Also during this time, I saw ducks at both these beaches that are probably not, that are adding to the bacteria increase along with the weather warming up the ponds. I'm not saying the ducks are the only issue, but that's one of them along with the increased temperature. So this sign was posted at both those swimming areas on Long Pond. The other 9 ponds are meeting the state warning guidelines. They're tested every other week. And on this one on Long Pond, we've asked them to test that every week now so we can monitor it. But from talking to them and people that have other towns that have found cyanobacteria for the past number of years, that they've learned that once you do have it at this time of year, it probably does stay for another month before it decreases. So I would expect this to sign posting to be up for the rest of the summer. How do we also get this out? That's a good question to the board, and we can look at putting this up on our webpage also. I'll take questions from the board. Oh, back too much. Erica, don't move yet.
Board members, questions for Bruce? Question I have, what should a resident do if tomorrow, hey, I want to go swimming or paddle boarding? I mean, how do they find out? Is it safe to take my kids, or, you know, after hours, take the dog or whatever? In other words, it sounds like the only thing you can do is see if there's a sign up when you get there. Is that correct?
And we did post signs at these 3 locations, and the Davis boat ramp, as I understood, was a popular place for people to bring their dogs to swim. So it was important to post it there. Obviously, they should always be checking the beaches that I mentioned, the beaches that we do post a sign on the beaches, what the water quality is. So people should always be looking at what the water quality is. And when it's a hot day, there are 9 other locations within town they could go to on the ponds.
Right.
Of course, there's also the salt water availability also.
Sure. Anyone? Okay, Bruce, thank you.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate this exists, but here we are. Okay, so number 5 here is an update on the coronavirus and includes a vote. So Bruce, I'm afraid it falls back on you again.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman and Board. Now we can scroll down one. As of last Friday, our COVID cases, the overall positive from when the pandemic started last March of 20, there's been 1,710 cases within town. Currently, as of last Friday, there were 20 active cases, ages 1 through 79. And out of those active cases, 10 of the 20 had been vaccinated. And we're still at 36 deaths. We may have had just another one come in, so I would have to take a look to check that number. Okay, the next slide would show us what our town positivity rate is based on the Department of Public Health weekly testing that comes out each Wednesday. And we can see, and we thought we were doing very well at the beginning of the summer. And I think when you all read the minutes from my last report, I was saying we're looking forward to the summer and how low the numbers would be. And in fact, into June and July, our positivity rate was 2.34. And then we saw it shot up the end of July 28th. We had 71 positive cases over a 2-week period with a positivity rate in town of 6.75. I think that's also the time you saw Provincetown increase their numbers where they almost had 1,000 positivities, and their positivity rates were very high, along with Truro and Wellfleet, and then down to the Orleans area that they've seen an increase. And I think some of that side issue is the spreading of the Delta, which spreads considerably quicker within the public. People that are vaccinated do not get, only have mild symptoms, and even at Provincetown, they did not have any deaths, but they had a few go to the hospital. Then you saw the week before, the August 4th, our positivity rate went down to 5.36. And then last Wednesday, again, it continued to go down to 4.85. So I don't know if that's probably people taking potential precautions and so forth. So that's that, and we'll continue to monitor and update this spreadsheet also. The next sheet is one that also comes out Wednesday on the number of vaccinations, and I should have probably circled this because I don't really have a pointer here. But what we want to see is the first column, that we have a total of roughly 24,000 people in town. And then, people, keep going to the right there, Erica. People that have at least one dose is 17,000 people in town, which is 74% of our population. The number of that are fully vaccinated with 2 shots of 1 in JJ is 16,184, which is 67% of our population. Again, that's not including the children 12 and under. So even though we are probably a little bit ahead of the state average, obviously COVID is spreading still, as we saw by the results within town and from people vaccinated and unvaccinated. The next slide will show increased testing now through the county health department. They're going to do free testing now at the fairgrounds on 151, right on the Mashpee Falmouth line. Now that the fair's over, they're starting that back up again. And the free testing will be on Thursdays and Sundays, starting next week. You can register through Barnstable County health.org, and walk-ins will also be accepted. And we'll put this up on some of this data up on our website and the town COVID website also. So I think that's good. They're continuing to doing testing down in the Provincetown area. And I think COVID testing has been difficult to find. A lot of the pharmacies and grocery stores that, mainly the pharmacies that were doing testing has switched over to vaccination. There is still some testing going on at the hospital, but it's by appointment. It's not as easy to get as it was in the past. It's a lot easier to get vaccination by just walking to either the pharmacies or the grocery store. So based on the increase that we've seen in town, and talking to the chairman last week with the increase in COVID percent positivity rates in town, our concern with our numbers increasing. From a talk with the chairman, it was prudent, as we're waiting for this Board of Health meeting, and you can go to one slide, Erica, is to just do a mask advisory for indoor public buildings, a mask to be worn just indoor. I know towns down further have gone to required mask, but this is only a advisory for Yarmouth. Some towns on the Cape are just following the governor's motions right now of no mask are required indoors or outdoors, and some towns are requiring it, mandating it, and some are just making it advisory. So this is on the board's agenda tonight, whether the full board would want to go forward with a mask advisory to the public to be worn indoors in public buildings. And that's the last of my slides for comment and review, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's great. I'll just give you a little history for the rest of the board members. This Delta variant, it's a mutation in the virus, is 1,000 times as infectious, is really what the situation is and why it's spreading so quickly. Vaccination has really been helping people. In other words, they may get infected, and
Deborah's not in.
it seems most of them aren't even aware they may have it. So it's preventing people from getting very ill, going to the hospital, and dying. So the vaccine actually is doing a very good job of keeping control of how sick people are when they are exposed to this variant. So when you hear the term viral load, that's what it's referring to. There's like 1,000 more viruses that are existing where the previous variant did not. For the COVID-19, that virus, when we first started out, they're quite different. The virus has changed dramatically, and that's what's spreading. So back the ways Mary and I had talked about it and went ahead and issued an advisory, knowing that the board was not meeting for a while. We didn't think it was an emergency requiring a mandate. So when we say advisory, it's what the Board of Health is advising. It's up to the individual if they want to follow the advice of the Board of Health, which basically was saying that the Yarmouth Board of Health advises everyone, vaccinated or not, to wear a mask when in public indoors, essentially is the advisory. We can vote on that tonight to see if people want to support that or not. If you want to support it, then we'll move forward and leave it as it is. If there's a vote against it, then we can delete the advisory. In other words, so it won't appear on buildings, or just, we won't be advising anything, I guess. Or the advice could be changing, or it could be a mandate. So we are going to vote on it tonight. So hopefully there's some discussion. Doesn't seem to be a long line here. So board members, anything?
I move that the board move forward with the mask advisory.
Okay, that's succinct. Thank you. Charlie, Deborah?
Same.
Okay, Charlie, what are your feelings here?
Personally, I don't see wearing a mask indoors or outdoors myself. So I'll vote against it.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, any other thoughts, discussions, anything from Bruce, anything? If not, we can just go ahead and vote on it.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would say that if the governor were to institute a mask mandate, obviously we would follow governor's guidelines on that. But in the interim, I'm pleased with the advisory for a mask.
Okay, all right. So if someone want to make a motion here, we can vote on it.
I think Eric did.
So that was a formal motion?
Yeah,
I wasn't aware it was, but
I seconded it.
so definitely.
that was
Okay.
an informal second, I think. as
Yes,
well.
I'm sorry. Second.
Wow, we're really doing a good job here. Any other discussion on it? I don't think there will be. So all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. It's
Aye.
It's 3. Any against?
Nay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So, okay, that passes 3-1. That should,
Mr. Chairman, I do have a request to give the Board of Selectmen an update. Tomorrow, I did get a request late this morning, and I said that they wanted to get an update under other public comment at the very beginning. I responded that, yes, I could attend public comment. I know that you're unavailable tomorrow, and I did ask them that should we be giving other updates from time to time, that we should probably be an agenda item so the public would be more aware that we're officially talking to the selectmen if they're not following us 100% on our Board of Health meetings.
I appreciate that. I mean, it gives this board some credibility for sure. So that's great. We can talk later, anything about tomorrow night before you're on there. So that's good. Thank you. Believe it or not, we're working our way to approval of minutes here. That's item number 7, and the meeting was June 7th, 2021. Hopefully everyone got a chance to review it. Any edits, comments people want to make about it? If not, we can make a motion here.
I move we approve the minute. Oh my God, that was not words. I move we approve the minutes of the Board of Health meeting on June 7th, 2021.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Okay, we got a lot of seconds. That's good. Okay, any discussion? Hopefully not. Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye. Raise your hand just a little bit. There we go. Fine, that's unanimous. Okay, that passes. Any new or old business? Anyone, including our director, Mr. Murphy?
No, we're all set at this time. I'm looking for our next board meeting. We have nothing pending. We just have Millway putting their packet back together, when that would be available to be available. Our next regular meeting would be September 13th. Which would be the second Monday, because the first Monday is Labor Day. So tentatively would go to the 13th unless they haven't finalized their packet or we have something different on the COVID front. So I think if we maybe have a little flexibility when the board wants to meet one of those first Mondays, we could see when it fits in best for Millway.
I'm fine with that. Anyone else? Okay. So we'll call it for the 13th. That's fine.
If they're not ready, maybe we just move that 13th to the 20th or something, or when they're available to come in.
Yeah, I can see that easily happening. They have some homework to do there for
Yes.
sure. And the only thing that, as you said, may come up is just dealing with the pandemic and certainly the
Yes.
school system and so on. So,
Yeah, and that could probably be a good, school starting, believe the school committee is going to be discussing their mask requirement along with other towns on the Cape. They have a school committee meeting tonight, and I think that will be discussed tonight and later this week of what steps the school will be taking. So the 13th might be a good a good update for the board of what's happening school-wide and town-wide also.
Okay, thank you. Just to remind everyone, as for that hearing on the poultry permit, please make some efforts of swinging by occasionally. We'll see what's up there, okay? See if we need to make any adjustments in what we've done tonight. Okay, so we'll call it there. Anyone? Eric, it looks like you're gonna say something. Okay.
One more new or old business, both new and old. The waste oil disposal at the town landfill is closed again. If you all remember, it was closed for quite a while. I want to say 9 or 10 months last year. It's been closed, I believe, for 3 or 4 weeks now. So again, my concern is how are people disposing of their waste oil? So not really sure what the issue is, but obviously we want to make sure that people are disposing of that in a safe manner. So,
We'll take a look at that and bring it back to the board.
thank you.
Yeah, no, Eric, I appreciate commenting. I wasn't aware it closed up again. Okay, so thank you. All right, so Bruce, get back to us where that's at. Anything else, anyone? If not, make a motion to adjourn. Someone?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second, someone?
Second.
And we got one. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, we're gone. That's it. The meeting's over. Thank you, everyone. Stay well.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.